Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of God Built This podcast. I'm your host Maxine and we're on episode 70. All right, well, obviously I would be remiss to not talk about this coronavirus hysteria, this COVID-19 hysteria. There is a lot of mass hysteria going on. There's a lot of social anxiety. There's a lot of collective anxiety that is being felt throughout mainstream media, throughout the masses, within our communities. And I want to be clear. Yes, I'm sensitive to the death tolls that has been happening, but if we just put everything into perspective and understand that there have been much more actual real deadly diseases, deadly pandemics throughout our history, and in comparison to the coronavirus is pretty low on the totem pole. You know, there's maybe a couple thousand cases of people who were killed by this virus. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, we have about 11 million people. If I want to just focus on America, right? The cases are pretty low here. Yes, there are people getting sick. Yes, there are people, at risk. I understand that, but I just want everyone to calm down. I think that's what it is. Like, can we just calm down? You know, in history, we know that there were so many other viral infections and plagues, right? We have the Black Plague. We have leprosy. If we want to talk about biblical times, we had, what else? Tuberculosis, SARS. You know, these things were the killers. These things were really something else. And I'm not saying coronavirus may not have the potential of being that, but what I just don't appreciate is just this incessant amount of hysteria that everyone is feeding into. And I'm starting to feel like there's something else going on, like spiritually in the underworld. There's something happening, and many of us are not passing the test of getting by this, right? Instead of having a mind over matter, many of us are falling into this mindset that is victimhood. I'm afraid, I'm worried, and we don't realize that when we're feeding into that type of mindset, we're making ourselves sick. Ultimately, right? On top of obviously not being mindful of your hygiene, of your sanitary needs, we're making our own selves sick if we continue to consume all of this negative media and all of the news coverage that is constantly updating on this issue. And I'm not saying don't be informed, but check out sometimes. You know, I am in this group chat, and involuntarily so, and I can't get out of it because it's one of those things where not everyone has an iPhone, I'm stuck in this chat unless I block everyone, which I have been here and there. So either way, I have been receiving nonstop messages, news coverages, links, updates, post-it notes, like, nigga, of every little detail. Like, oh my gosh, one man in Idaho got infected and he infected his whole family. Oh my gosh, one man in California walked around the street after being told he was infected and he didn't care. Like, I'm getting every news coverage and I'm sick of it. Understand this. I see this already. You posting it in this group text does not aid me at all in this time. Like, just please keep that to yourself. Like, it's one thing to be, trying to inform people, but when you're the only one informing people in the group text, stop. Like, please stop. Okay. And I want to just get into, where did this originate? There's so many different reportings on this that I've been hearing, that yes, of course, the designated specific place it was originated in is China. But I'm hearing that one report is telling me that it's due to animal testing, and the animal testing just went wrong. It went awry, and the people in the lab got infected, and it just spread that way, right? So that was one way. Another theory I heard was there was this weaponry making lab that was happening in China, but that went in disarray, and that's how it spread. And recently, Carrie Hilson decided to like go full knee deep, neck deep, head deep, Hilson deep into conspiracy land, and went in this detailed IG story, exclusive coverage of how coronavirus came about. So she was saying how the 5G that's in your phone and in your smartphone somehow is the origin of this virus, and like the waves, the ultralight waves, I don't know what it is, but something with the 5G impacted people's ultra waves, and that's how it spread. I don't even understand what the hell she's talking about, but this is the problem. Everyone is saying anything, and there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of conflicting information. And now a lot of us are sitting in a place of uncertainty, instead of feeling at ease and understanding that, okay, we live in America, we have access to healthcare, we have strong healthcare. A lot of us are freaking out because we have Donald Trump in the White House, who's not really easing our angst, right? He's not really easing our fears. Instead, initially he was dismissive about it, and yet there were conflicting reports that contradicted his ease about this issue. So now all of a sudden he's saying, okay, we have things under control, but now other people in the administration are conflicting that message. So the problem with this is everyone got it fucked up. Everyone is confused. Everyone is unsure. Nothing is set in stone. We're not sure where it came from. We know, we're certain that it's from China, but we're not sure exactly how it came about and how did it get here, right? Airplanes is the only logical way. One report was saying that it's airborne, but that doesn't really seem likely. It's not an airborne pathogen from what I heard from another report. So we don't know. Now, with uncertainty, we, of course, and I'm saying we because we're in this society together, many of us are going crazy in the grocery store. Many of us are buying things in bulk. And it's one thing to buy things in bulk from actual stores that carry products in bulk, right? Like Sam's Club, like Costco's, like BJ's, stores like that, then it's expected. But when you're buying stuff in bulk from a Stop and Shop, from a HEB, from your local grocery store, it's inconsiderate. And I'm here to tell you guys, whoever is doing that and is listening to this podcast right now, you're being inconsiderate and you're being selfish, and I'm sick of it. I went to the grocery store thinking, oh, let me just go ahead and, stock up on, not even stock up. I was running out of toilet tissue. I only plan to buy one pack. I don't buy things in bulk. It gives me anxiety to buy so much stuff and like shove it in my storage. It's just like, no, I buy things by the 2 weeks, and like for my groceries, for example, like I buy things by the meals I plan to prepare for the week, right? In the next 2 days. So about 9 days, I have groceries that's comprised in 2 or 3 different meals. Okay, that's how I organize my stuff. I don't like to buy just so much packaged goods to have stuffed in my freezer. I don't want my refrigerator to be stuffed with so much stuff that I feel obligated to eat and finish, because things will spoil, things will run out. I don't have people in my house, well, in my apartment, just chilling and eating up my food. No, this food is consumed by me. And I make a point to be intentional with my grocery shopping, because I like to be mindful of what I eat, right? I'm not trying to gain too much weight. I'm trying to be mindful of my physical appearance and be comfortable in my skin, be comfortable in my body. And when I'm eating food that is just junk, that's not gonna work with my plan of feeling good in my own body, right? So I like to do all of that. Now, when people are buying in bulk, it's like this hysteria is increasing people's gluttony. Okay, it's increasing people's laziness, and now this energy that could have been used to be healthy and be mindful of what you consume is now freaked out because I just need all the food. I need all the food. And when you buy up all the toilet tissue, excuse me, how am I gonna wipe my ass? How? Okay, I'm running low. Let's just say that. I'm running low, and I'm hoping the restock will happen soon, but it's been a trip lately. As you are listening to this episode, we know that there's been a shutdown, right? A lot of all the schools that I've known so far have been shut down, have been closed until 2 or 3, 6 or 8 weeks out, depending on what district you're in, depending on what organization you're in. Schools are closed. Okay, the door is closed. And now, where as an educator, there's this joy of having time off, right? But it's not really time off, because now I got to figure out how can I best teach my students through this online distant learning program that we're trying to set and in place. And then there's this equity thing that not everyone has access to Wi-Fi. Not everyone has access to a stable internet service. Not everyone has a cell phone or an iPad, something that they could steadily use to complete set assignments. Now, that's a larger issue, and I can only do so much as an individual, right? And you have the more of the problem of students who may not have the best living arrangement, and school may be a place of refuge for that child. And now that is closed, it's, there's a lot of double-edged sword for everything. So I think about those different situations and how does that work, right? Especially when you have kids who may eat more at school than they would at home due to whatever circumstances happening at home, right? Or you may have kids who may be homeless and look to school for their 8 hours of the day as a place of refuge, as a place of peace and stability and comfort. And it's just a lot. So although I am grateful and I'm coming from a place of privilege to be able to, rest and be at peace and have shelter, my heart goes out to those who are not in that same position, or those who do not have, even though they may have shelter, they may not have the privilege of a peaceful mind and a peaceful environment within that shelter. So definitely my heart goes out to that. It's just a lot going on, and I just wish many of us would find the time to be mindful, to be positive in the midst of it all, right? And I know that's so easier said than done, but I also come from a mindset of I don't like to lean into my feelings too much when it comes to like feeling fearful. Yes, I do get scared sometimes, but I instead like to find a joy in something. So I'm saying all this to hopefully encourage someone to find joy in this time. Find this time has a purposeful time to conquer your goals, to reflect on yourself, to reflect on the relationships in your life, or like do all of that stuff. I know that sounds cheesy and corny, but now here's the time, and I'm hoping that during this time income can still be flowing in. I'm hoping that this time there is a peace of mind cultivated in your body, in your home, and all of that. So let's just say that I also feel like, and here's a conspiracy in me coming out, but I just think this is the bigger scheme of things. But I feel as if the government is just behind this. There's something's going on. Apparently Bill Gates said something 2018 or 2019, but recently he said that there'll be some type of pandemic, a particular virus, a particular sickness that will be rapid in the world. And he predicted this. Now there's a question of, how is Bill Gates is he a god? Like, how is he able to have this prediction and it came true? Like, what? I thought Bill Gates was just this Microsoft inventor, this billionaire. How is he able to tell the future? What type of witchery, sorcery, wizardry, all of that, what type of stuff is he into? And it tells me about those who are in the upper echelon, the elite. There's something else going on. You know what I mean? Like, they have access to things that those of us who are not there, who are not even near that class, we don't know anything about, right? And we only get to believe or be subjected to what the media gives us. But the question is, who is in charge of the media? Who is controlling what we see? There is something going on, and I'm saying this to say that we shouldn't be so quick to accept what we see. We shouldn't be so quick to just shut up and receive it. We should question. We should do our research. We should think for ourselves and figure out, how can I best take care of me during this chaotic time? And me saying all this is to say, yes, there's a lot of hysteria going on, but take time to take care of you, because being hysterical does not help anybody. Okay? Showing me the latest freaking news coverage on what happened in Idaho does not help my sanity. Stop. Okay? So I don't know. I just think there's something else going on. I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I'm going to continue doing my research, and I'll share, what I can, what I want, and all that. But I just feel like we should be mindful of what we consume, be mindful of what we share, whom we share it with, and how we are with each other and with ourselves. Take time for yourself. Things will get better. Everything will be okay. America, the world has gone through so many, collective calls of hysteria. Okay? We've gone through so many instances that killed generations, collective groups of people. Yet it's just, I don't know, maybe this is a form of purging. Who's gonna make it in the island? It sounds so scary, actually, but like, look, at this point, do what's best for you, but also be mindful of the people around you. Don't let your need to get a bulk of every little, like, you don't need to have 10 boxes of Tide. Why? Like, how many times do you do your laundry? I don't. What? I don't get it. Like, this is. I'm just. Can y'all calm down? Like, there's not Tide anymore. The fuck? I went to the grocery store. There was no more chicken, no more oxtail, and y'all know I love making oxtail or cooking oxtail and cooking legume. I just can't. I can't understand why everyone is being selfish and not mindful of everyone around them who would need groceries as well. Like, you're not the only one living on this earth, you know? All right, so I want to get into the topic of a quarantine bae. What is a quarantine bae? What is a coronavirus bae? What is that? Well, just like you would have a Netflix and chill bae, right? Netflix and fuck, or whatever the case is. That's the same thing with quarantine. The media, the CDC, the governor is advising for people to stay home, to socially distance themselves from large crowds, from the public, so that we could get a handle over this virus before it continues to spread further and further. So the point of quarantining and social distancing is to literally just isolate yourself from the outside world, because the symptoms are not as clear, right? Some bodies may have visible symptoms, some bodies may not. Symptoms may be present immediately and symptoms may be delayed. So we don't know. At this point, you could have it right now and you wouldn't know. So that's the scary part about it all. You don't exactly know. And with the difference of, there's seasonal allergies, there's a cold, there's a flu, there's just like the regular flu, cold, and seasonal allergies. They could easily be misconstrued for having the virus. And it's unfair because for someone like me who naturally sneezes a lot, not a lot, but like typically in the morning, I go through my sniffles, I go through my sneezes, and it's annoying. And I know it's allergies. It's like morning allergies, and eventually dies down. I drink my ginger tea. I drink my green tea. I drink hot beverages to help ease any mucus, any inflammation that I may have in my sinus area, so that I could be relieved from those symptoms. But just know that those are my regular symptoms. Like, I naturally have those things prior to this COVID-19. So anyway, the whole point of social distancing is to further prevent and to take action steps and not spreading this infectious disease. With quarantining, here's the thing. I am currently recording this episode back home in Boston, in my bedroom, at home. And okay, with Boston comes Boston Bay. And I was thinking, should I just go ahead and quarantine with this nigga at this point? But I don't want to. And I'm here to advise the folks out there to not put yourself in situations that will have you trapped with someone who you don't necessarily really want to be trapped with. Like, it's not necessary. Oh, excuse me. But anyway, it's not necessary, like, continue to maintain boundaries in relationships, continue to state your expectations, and not suddenly have amnesia now that we are in this space of quarantining and social distancing. What excited me about, one of the things that would excite me about coming home is oftentimes whenever I would plan to come home, that's the time when me and Boston Bay would rekindle. And it happened again, but not like a full rekindle, but like he reached out, I'm open to having a conversation, cool. And of course, he wanted for me to kind of like stay over and us to have a little time together. And initially I agreed to that, but and this was like prior to me flying in. So initially I agreed to that, but recently, after agreeing to it, I decided, you know what, nah, I'm good. I'll just stay home, and I'll see you if you have time, pretty much, and if I have time, and if it could work out. But he reacted negatively to that, because I noticed that with him, if he doesn't have it his way, then he's gonna have an attitude. And instead of just saying, oh, okay, I understand, or okay, fine, let's hang out on this day instead. Like, instead of being proactive in planning a future set date for us to hang out while I'm here, he instead wanted to be attitude nigga and be like, well, all right, fine, enjoy your vacation, have a peaceful time, Maxine. It's like, all right, what? I don't want, and the reason why I didn't really want to stay with him anymore is because he continues to portray the same behavior that I just don't find attractive. Like, I don't find it attractive when we're texting and I don't hear from you hours on end. And that's what happened a few days, and it's just like, I don't like this type of communication. And then I had to remind myself of the times when I would spend time with him at his home, or when we would be out together, or not even out together, but when we would be in a confined space together. I just don't really enjoy his company too much. And that's like, wow, that's a strong statement, but I don't like, it's just not it's not a time that I look forward to, in a sense that, oh, I find joy from spending time with you, oh, you make me laugh, or I look forward to it. Instead, what I find myself doing is creating these fantasies in my head and looking forward to fulfilling those fantasies in real life. And then when real life happens, right, when I'm really with him in reality, in present physical space, right, none of those fantasies in my head is being fulfilled. Like, none of them are at all being established here in the present. And I'm stuck with the slap in my face once again, thinking that, oh, this time, this fantasy, and it's not like these crazy sexual fantasies. It's just simple, oh, I'm in the kitchen and he put his arm around my waist as I grab something from the cabinet, or as I wash a plate or a dish, or whatever. Like, it's not, it will be the simple things that shouldn't even require a fantasy. But that's how fucked up our little relationship is, because we don't have those cute, affectionate moments that I have to create these moments in my head in hopes that it'll finally manifest itself in reality. Like, what the fuck? This is not fun. This is not cool. This is not the reality that I want to live. So I'm glad that I decided not to anymore, to spend time at his place. And I had to remind myself what it really is. And I think oftentimes I find myself having to remind myself, oh yeah, that's why I don't like him, or oh yeah, that's why I'm not all tied in because of X and because of Y and because of Z. It's really ridiculous that there's reminders that I have to set in place, but sometimes we have to do that as women, because we do find ourselves sticking to a fantasy and living in this la la land. I'm the queen of daydreaming and the queen of creating scenarios in my head, and then when it's time to see it in real life, I don't see it in real life, and then I'm disappointed, and it's really all my fault. Instead of just recognizing the reality of what it is, I'm sitting on a hope, I'm sitting on a dream, I'm sitting on a wish. And anyway, that's where I'm at with that. We have yet to really hang out not even really, like, period, hang out at all since I've been here. And I'm here for a week. This is my spring break, technically. And with the closing of schools for, a few weeks, I already have my round trip, booked and planned, anything. So I'll be back in Houston momentarily, but I'm here for a few days. But so far, me and him haven't hung out. So far, it hasn't really been a thing. And like, we communicated here and there, but at this point, I don't really care. Like, I'm not going to chase after you, nor do I care if I get that energy in return. And it is what it is. There was one time when he texted me, and sometimes I don't like to lie, right? I like to be honest, and if I'm not available, I'm not available. If I am, right? But I found myself realizing that I've been so available for this guy that I need to start lying. Even if I am available, I'm going to say I'm not, okay? I'm going to be completely honest and say, you know what? I'm not free, even though I'm clearly laid up, about to go to sleep, like, type of free. And so I had to say that, and he got so caught up with, oh, okay, well, how come you invite me out? And it's like, what are you talking about? He's definitely just testing to see if I would say yes to his company, when, no, nigga, I already had these quote unquote plans. Don't just invite yourself over. That's not how things go. And two, go ahead and sweat a little. He was like asking, oh, you out with the guy? What, you out with the guy? And it's like, and if I was, speaking of out with the guy, can we talk about church nigga? So last time I talked about him, I said how I don't really know if there is an attraction there as far as something more than friendship, because we're just in two different spaces in our lives. And it's primarily because he's a few years younger than me, and by a few I just mean 4. And even though I guess in the grand scheme of things it's not too far off, but yes, it is at the same time. People are at different places in their life, and typically a 25-year-old is at a different space than a 29-year-old, and being the woman in this position who is at a different space than the man, I'm just not attracted to someone who's not where I am. That's no knock to him. It's just, there's just a lack of maturity that I want to see, and I don't see it. And it just comes in full through just some of the emotional maturity that I don't see in him. And I would say he and we had great conversations for like 2 months, consistent. We would FaceTime and be very present with each other. But then, like, all of a sudden I was seeing things that I just wasn't really attracted to. And instead of just like tugging it in, I have to speak on those things. And I think those things just primarily fixates itself on just the lack of maturity that I see from him. And I don't want to say he's like a little baby or a boy. It's just where he's at in life doesn't match where I'm at. And I want someone who matches, if not exceeds, where I'm at. Anyway, he has been making plans with me to actually see me. And I did reach out to him, letting him know I'll be home. And he's actually been present in saying, okay, let's hang out this date, and this is an idea that we could do. And mind you, the things that we could do is very limited, with all the shutdowns and the bar closed, the movies not really open. Like, it's just, what can we do? But I'm liking the fact that he's making effort, that he's making a plan, and that it's something that he's seeking to fulfill, you know what I mean? Has with Boston Bay, there's none of that. I haven't talked to him yesterday. I'm not gonna reach out to him today. Like, it's just one of those things. Okay, nigga, I told you I'll be here for a few days. You're the one who wants to see. It's just another repeated behavior that he's showing. And I guess I'm not surprised. It is what it is. But ultimately, what I'm realizing with myself throughout this, I just don't know if I'm a good match myself. And what I mean by that is, I feel like I have some internal work that I still need to work through, as far as being comfortable with being open and vulnerable. And maybe it's the Aquarius in me, but I just don't. Whenever I feel like things are going to get deep with somebody, I find a way to get out of it. And I'm realizing that. And if you want to give the church nigga as an example, me and him started off really great, really strong, talking all the time, consistent. And yet a couple of things I've noticed that has turned me off. Although those things are, I should be mindful and open to what my body and how I feel, right? But at the same time, I allow any and everything to just, okay, stop, I'm done, turn around, exit stage left, and instead of working through it, I just walk away. I walk away. And I think about, what do I ultimately want? What do I want to gain? Because if I continue like this, I won't ever really receive and engage in a romantic relationship that's monogamous, right? Instead, I'll continue with these casual situationships and keep it at that. But I know I want more than that, but it's getting to that point. I don't know how. So this is me publicly declaring that. And I was vocal with church nigga a few weeks ago, letting him know, because I didn't want to mislead him, because I have a tendency of ghosting niggas and just, walking away, even though things seemingly were great, but I walked away because I didn't like something, or because I suddenly wasn't attracted to something anymore. And I just, instead of communicating that, I just walked away. Because at the same time, what else do I need to say? Like, if we just known each other for a few days, went out on a few dates, I don't really need to give you a thesis statement on why I'm not interested anymore. But then again, maybe I do. It doesn't have to be a thesis. Maybe just like one sentence, like a declarative statement. But anyway, with church nigga, I decided to let him know, because I didn't want to mislead him. I let him know, hey, I think you're a really nice guy, but I just don't see this going past friendship. I don't really see you past a friend. And he was very he received that well, but he was very interested in knowing, like, why, like, what could he do to like change that, or what could we work on, or can you tell me exactly at what point did you feel that way? Like, he was really trying to get to the bottom of it. And I'm just like, nigga, I'm just trying to go. Let me go unscathed, okay? And he was very interested and very committed to letting me know how he felt about me, instead of being defensive, because Boston Bay would have been defensive, right? But with this church nigga, he was proclaiming his feelings for me. He's like, I do like you. I find you beautiful. I find you gorgeous. He was just filling up my tank. And yet I was so stuck, and I am so stuck on, not even just was, still, bitch. I am still stuck on the fact that I don't like a couple of things, and I'm turned off, and I feel like you're corny sometimes. Like, I'm sorry. And I know what I'm about to reference sounds immature as fuck. But there are just some things that I feel like you shouldn't like, like, For example, he was telling me how he loves Domino's. And I'm like, what? This is crazy. First of all, have you had real pizza? Because Domino's is not real pizza. Can we talk about that? Like, these processed food chained pizza shops are not pizzas. This is not pizza. This is a bread sprinkled with sugar and tomato paste. This isn't pizza. Let me take you to a real pizza shop. Okay? Where they have real tomatoes in the back. Where they grow their own tomatoes and they make their own pasta sauce. Like, let me take you back there. Because I don't want to talk to somebody who likes Domino's. I know I sound crazy, but I'm so dead ass. And it's more than the Domino's. That's not my point, y'all. My point is simply, I want you to be mature in your palates. I want you to be mature in your thinking. And for you to think that Domino's is such great pizza, there's something different in your thinking that is different than mine. And I don't like that. Now, you could be thinking, oh, well, you could show him, Mops. You could show him how delicious this local family style pizza that you've had from this pizza shop around the corner is much better than Domino's, right? Yes, I could show him that, but I don't want to grow somebody. And maybe that's unrealistic, but I don't want to grow somebody. Like, I want you to already be there. I want you to already know Domino's isn't the best pizza ever. Like, I don't want to convince you that. Like, what are we talking about? So there's that. And it's also, there was something else he said. Oh, I talked about it in the previous episode, how, although he is very, communicative, he's very clear. He knows how to speak. He speaks well. But I think what's annoying about that is he doesn't know when to stop. He doesn't know when to stop talking. He doesn't know when to just let it rest. He just wants to continue to talk. I want to know why. And it's too much. Sometimes we don't need to talk. Sometimes we don't need to have another conversation about the same thing. Let it be what it is. Instead of just letting it go, he likes to continue to get to the bottom of it. And when I'm done talking, I'm done talking. And I'm going to have an attitude, and you don't want that. Okay? But maybe that's a great thing about him. Maybe that's a trait that I need to work on, because I'm quick to shut the fuck up sometimes. And with him, it's not like that at all. So that's honestly where I'm at with it. It's a couple of things. And once I'm turned off, I'm turned off. I don't really want to have a conversation. I don't really want to hear from you again. I just want to go. I want to go. And that's what I was saying about myself. Maybe me being quick to wanting to go has been a detriment of mine. And so something that I need to work on. And you know what? It is what it is. I'm recognizing I'm not perfect. I am not without any flaws. And I'm aware of that. It's now getting to the root of that and working through that is where I'm at right now. And it's also about, can you still work on yourself and be with somebody? Can you still work on yourself and still date and I think yes. I also think one needs to be honest with themselves and figure out where do you fall short in, and maybe give that person a heads up, like, hey, I'm not the best communicative person. Let me just let you know that right now, or not, because sometimes, we don't accept. I know for me, like, if a nigga were to say that to me, I've been like, oh, here we go with this nigga shit. Here we go. And instead of being conscious or conscientious of the fact that, oh, he's being open and he's being vulnerable and letting me know his shortcomings, faulting him for it. So I don't know. It's a lot of work, a lot of inner workings that I know I need to do on my own. But that's where I'm at with him. I just feel like, I don't know. As much as I would like to say, oh, I have quarantine company, it's not really worth it. I feel like it's just for the hype. You see it on social media. I see it on social media. I see people, coming together, even though we're strictly advised not to. Now, according to what Donald Trump is saying, the limit to having people like in a small space is now 10. Before it was like for churches, if you have a congregation of 250 or more, cancel the congregation service. If you have an event, a venue with a space of 50 or more, cancel it. Now it's 10. Now it went down to 10. So now you got to get to the glut of it all. And I don't know, we're in a space of unknown, we're in a space of uncertainty. And as scary as that is, I am at peace in a strange way. Like, I'm not freaking out. Like, I'm not jumping up and, asking. I don't know. Like, I'm not like that. I'm not a chaotic person internally, even though sometimes I can be. But right now, I'm choosing not to be because I know how I can be chaotic. I know how I've been chaotic emotionally and mentally before, and it's not settling for me. It doesn't bring me the peace that I need. So instead, being a step ahead, instead of falling into the chaos, I'm being a step ahead by, being mindful of what I consume, how I consume things, taking a nap, reading a book. I'm reading a current book right now, and I'm just being mindful and doing things that make me happy. So I encourage you all to do the same and be safe out there. It's uncertain times. It's uncertain times, but we will get through this. And be advised, don't allow this time to let you be in the room with someone who you don't really want to be in a room with, right? Who you don't really want to be trapped with. Like, nah, nigga. I gotta go. I gotta go. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I hope this episode brought you some comfort during this time. And I hope that you continue to share, like, rate, and subscribe. The end outro that I give on every episode won't be included in this episode because I forgot to bring my drive here to Houston, and so it's only in that drive that I insert that clip. Anyway, so I'm just gonna say this now so you'll know, hey, it sounds a little different. And yeah, that's what it is. But I'm just gonna continue to say the same thing. Please be sure to subscribe and follow and support this podcast as best as you can, whether through patreon.com/GodBuiltThis, where you'll have access to exclusive content, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Leaving a review will definitely continue to help promote this podcast and support this podcast. So any way that you could support, I will greatly appreciate it. And tell a friend, share me on Instagram stories, share me on Twitter, and follow me on Instagram at GodBuiltThisPod. All right, you guys, I'll check in with you all next time. Peace. God bless.